Item 9D, adopt resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with Triad Consulting and System Design Group, LLC, to complete a security assessment of water and wastewater facilities in the amount not to exceed $65,065.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. This item in front of you tonight is regards to the assessment of water and wastewater facilities to determine the security measures needed to secure them. The city has 26 water and wastewater facilities. That includes well sites, tanks, pump stations, and the Public Works Corporation yard. As the city is in the process of replacing and upgrading many of our facilities by investing millions of dollars, the security at these locations needs to be improved in order to prevent any vandalism or theft. Some of our well facilities have chemicals stored to treat groundwater before it's distributed into the system. Security at these facilities are needed in order to prevent someone from accessing the building without city's knowledge and tampering with equipment that could affect the water quality issues for our residents. Currently, security measures are limited with a lock-in door for pump stations, and some of these sites have gates and fences only. With the minimum security measures, the city has experienced incidents at some of these facilities over the years. For example, intruders went behind the newly completed Olympic wastewater pump station building and lit some materials on fire, which could have caused extensive damage to the facilities if the fire went out of control. At another pump station facility, an intruder managed to get inside the building by prying the door open and stealing one of our portable generators. The city's police department has also responded to calls over the years at the Public Works Corporation yard regarding break-ins and lost property. So the completion of this project will provide the city with a better understanding of the type of security measures to installed at each facility. So in order to obtain proposals, staff issued a request for proposals in January. The project scope of work includes the review of existing security measures at each of the 26 sites and identifying the deficiencies and providing recommendations to improve the security. The city received 6 proposals, ranging experience and qualifications, and most of these firms that submitted proposals did not have any or limited experience with evaluating water and wastewater facility security. And the majority of the proposals from various firms had experience with providing security assessment for military bases and foreign embassies. Although cost was not part of the consideration for selection of the firm, staff reviewed the costs of the services for each of the firm, and then they range from $17,000 to $85,000. So upon review of all the proposals, staff is recommending to award a contract to Triad Consulting and System Design Group. The firm has extensive experience conducting facility security assessment, mainly focusing on public infrastructure security for water and wastewater districts. The firm has completed work for agencies such as Contra Costa Water District, the Placer County Water Agencies, and Metropolitan Water District in Southern California. At the completion of the assessment, the city will receive a report documenting the findings and a list of prioritized improvement recommendations, and the report will provide specific security improvements for each of the facility and will serve as a security master plan document, which will be used as a guide for the implementation. And once the project is completed, in about 2 to 3 months, staff will review the recommendations and include the implementation costs in a future operating or capital budget for council's review. As for the fiscal impact, the 2017-22 Park and Facilities Capital Improvement Program includes this project, and with an allocation of $90,000, and there's sufficient budget to cover that cost of the project. So there's no additional appropriation that's being requested at this time. This concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions to the director from council? Michael?
Chair. Jimmy, I had a question about the budget, because in the description it says that it's the $90,000 was supposed to cover design and installation, but this proposal would pretty much consume the entire budget. So, based on the estimates that you had done initially, do we still think that the remaining very small amount would still allow us to do any of the implementation, or is your estimate of the implementation something closer to the full 90?
The full $90,000, it's not going to be enough. if I'm estimating it correctly, because the contract itself is about $65,000 for this assessment work, and we only have $25,000 remaining. And depending on the type of improvements that are security measures that are recommended, if they're installing fences or gates, some of these our pump stations, we don't have any fence or gates around them. So if those are included as part of the recommendations, the cost could go up substantially. So that's something that we would have to look at or review during the after we receive the report.
So are there any improvements that you're pretty comfortable with that maybe rather than doing the study, maybe if we know for a fact that a few fences and gates could significantly improve the security at certain facilities, could it make sense to maybe just invest some of this money in that up front and then maybe defer some of this until somewhere down the line for the more sophisticated solutions?
That's something that we can look at. Correct. I mean, that's some of our water pump stations don't have any fence or gates around it, but our wastewater pump stations, they do at this moment, and water tanks they do as well. But then the building itself is not secure. If people who jump over the fence and try to access the site, we want to be able to see what's going on within the site. So maybe, possibly they'll be installing cameras, or that could be some of the recommendations that came out of comes out of the report.
Okay. Yeah, and then there's some concerns I have too about any proposed solution, because if you put up cameras, somebody's got to monitor the cameras,
Right.
and that's probably an additional cost as well. So that's why I was concerned about if we're consuming our entire budget just in coming up with a design, and then the design is going to be for something that possibly we can't even afford. What the end result was going to be that we have a nice design that'll never be implemented versus maybe looking for some quick short-term surefire solutions that could potentially be a better use of the money. So just throwing that out there.
Laura.
Thank you, because I have to concur 110%. I'm in agreement. I mean, I think I'd like to see you spend the $90,000 on implementing improvements. I think there's some basic things you should have. Fencing in areas where you don't have fencing, very, very well-lit areas where you don't have well-lit areas, locks that that you should have, double locks, triple locks on each piece. Heavy lifted plates that get onto tank sites and areas where they can't lift it and it doesn't take one or two. I mean, just there's some things that I think you could do and spend the $90,000 instead of getting an assessment. Because I agree, you get the assessment, you figure out your master plan, great. These are all these great options, and then we just don't have funds to improve those. So I will also say that water and our water system is a vital resource, and we have to be very cautious. So if staff can take a look at the money and say, this is what we can do with that, and you feel like it's not enough or we really do need the assessment, you're the experts, and I'd want to know that as well. But my recommendation would be the same as Councilmember Salazar.
Irene, did you?
It's one of those struggles between getting a good plan and implementing it. I defer to staff if they want and feel that a assessment is necessary by experts. I think that's what they should do.
Marty? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I security is important. The intrusions that we've had so far have been minor. Putting alarms at all our facilities probably is a good idea. Into any of our buildings, if we don't have alarms, that's where I would put my first dollar into. Besides the lighting that we could easily see that needs to be done, fencing. So I'm also concerned about the budget. We have budget to do this part, but after that, it's going to cost thousands and thousands more dollars to put up the cameras and to do everything. So I would like to see us put the money into actual security devices than to do a study that we'll have to figure out how we're going to pay for later.
Okay, well, we've heard from the council. I'm hearing at least 3 that are looking, my perception is looking for ways to utilize the funds and trying to implement some security measures now, whether it's fencing, alarms, lighting, etc., rather than getting the consultant out to assess and then try to implement. Is that a fair assessment, what I've said?
Yep.
I know, Irene. That was to move forward with staff's recommendation. City Attorney? On the resolution, we would just go ahead and vote it down, if that's the case?
Yes, somebody could make a motion to deny the resolution or just not take any action.
Okay, so up to council. Either we can take no action or somebody can.
I'll make a motion to deny the resolution.
Vicky?
Vice Mayor Davis,
Aye.
Councilmember Medina,
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell,
No.
Councilmember Salazar,
Aye.
Mayor Medina.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your effort. Thank you for staying here.